My son's hand was ice cold in mine, and I could hear the paramedic rattling off numbers I didn't fully understand. Oxygen levels, respiratory rate, something about his lungs tightening up fast. I didn't care about the terms. I just kept my eyes on Liam's face, watching his chest rise in short, sharp gasps, praying the mask was doing its job. We were bumping down I-95 in the back of an ambulance, sirens screaming over traffic, and I was trying not to lose it. 1 hour ago, he was sitting in his third-grade classroom. Now he was barely conscious because of a massive asthma attack. Then my phone buzzed. At first I ignored it, but when it buzzed again, I glanced down, thinking it might be the hospital. Instead, it was Curtis. Effective immediately. Your employment is terminated. That was it. No explanation, no signature, just that. I stared at the screen, waiting for another message to follow. A correction, a mistake, something. But nothing came. I read the words again, slower this time, like maybe I misunderstood. Terminated. I looked up at Liam. His eyes were fluttering open and shut like he was stuck between sleep and panic. The paramedic was still working, adjusting the flow of something in the line. I'd given 6 years to that job. Long nights, missed holidays, built their biggest pitch from the ground up. 4 hours ago, I was in the conference room polishing the final deck, the one that could have landed the firm a multi-million-dollar development contract. Then the call came in. School nurse. Liam couldn't breathe. They'd already called 911. I stood up mid-slide review and told Curtis I had to leave. "You walk out now, you're done here," he said, standing in the doorway like a bouncer. I looked him dead in the face. "My kid's life comes first." He stepped aside, slow, like he wanted me to think he was doing me a favor. But I saw it, that flicker of something behind his eyes. This wasn't mercy. This was a warning. Quick note. Before we go deeper, where are you listening from today? Now, sitting in the ambulance, holding my son's hand, I saw the payoff. Curtis wasn't bluffing. And he didn't wait a day or a week to make it official. He did it right now, when he knew exactly where I was. Liam coughed hard and then cried out a little. That sound tore through me louder than the siren. The paramedic said, "We're 5 minutes out. He's stable for now." I gripped his hand tighter and shoved my phone deep into my pocket. That job was gone, but my kid was alive. We'd start from there. We spent the night in a corner room at the pediatric wing. Liam was still hooked up to oxygen, and I didn't move from the chair next to his bed. Every time he stirred or coughed, I jolted awake, heart pounding, waiting for another crash. Around 5 in the morning, I checked my phone again. No missed calls, just one new email from HR admin. No greeting, no apology. No severance, just return all company-owned equipment and materials within 72 hours. Failure to comply may result in legal action. That was it. 6 years of loyalty, late nights, canceled vacations, all of it, boiled down to one cold threat in plain text. I stared at the screen and felt my chest tighten. Not like Liam's, not medical, but something sharp and deep. Rage. I tossed the phone into my bag and stood up to stretch. My back cracked, knees locked. That chair had been designed by someone who clearly hated humans. Liam was asleep again, breathing easier. Once the sun came up and the nurses changed shifts, I stepped into the hallway, found a vending machine, and grabbed the worst coffee I've ever tasted. While I sipped, something started gnawing at me. A memory. It was from 2 weeks ago. I had been finalizing the data tables for our big pitch, job placement stats, infrastructure improvement reports, project timelines. Some of the numbers made me pause. Too perfect. Too fast. We hadn't finished half that work yet. I'd flagged the lines in my notes, thinking maybe I pulled from the wrong version of the spreadsheet or someone jumped the gun on the data, but I didn't say anything. Curtis had pushed us hard to get the deck polished and powerful. He wanted wins, not questions. And I needed that bonus. Now I couldn't stop thinking about it. 2 days passed. Liam started coloring again. The wheezing was gone, replaced with normal kid complaints. Itchy band-aids, bland food, cartoons that didn't load fast enough. We'd be discharged soon. I was still tired, but the fog in my head was lifting. Then my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello? A woman's voice, calm, professional. Is this the architect behind the Hartfield development model? I blinked. I built the framework for it. Yeah. Why? I'm with Apex Growth Fund. We're one of the key investor groups. We reviewed your firm's presentation and sent teams to 2 of the listed sites. Something in her tone put me on edge. We found no evidence of infrastructure upgrades, no training centers, no job support initiatives. Locals had never even heard of the program. I leaned against the wall, heart thudding. Wait, you visited? Yes, last week. We wanted to validate some of the numbers before committing, but the data doesn't reflect reality. We were told you were the point of origin for the model. Is that accurate? I didn't know how to answer. My stomach dropped. I looked through the glass at Liam playing with his action figures on the hospital bed. I wrote the model, I said slowly, but I didn't fabricate anything. I used real projections, based on real timelines. What you're talking about? The results. Those weren't mine. Someone padded the follow-up data. There was a pause. Then, would you be willing to meet in person? I hesitated. Why? We don't know who to trust right now, but if what you're saying is true, you might be the only one who can help us clean this up. I walked into the diner, still wearing the same jeans and sweatshirt from the hospital. No time to dress up. Didn't care anyway. They were waiting in the back booth, 3 of them, all suits, all dead serious. The woman who'd called me nodded once. Thanks for coming. I slid into the booth across from them. Coffee was already waiting. We're Apex, she said. Private development, government partnership funders. You probably saw our name in the fine print. I gave a tight nod. I wrote the fine print. The man to her left leaned forward. Older, gray at the temples, expensive watch he didn't bother to hide. We didn't come here to argue. We came for answers. Then ask, I said. He tapped the table once. Did you lie? No. Did you know the data was false? I flagged inconsistencies. Assumed someone else corrected them. I built the original framework. What you saw, those inflated stats, the fake progress reports, that wasn't me. They all exchanged a look. The woman spoke next. You built in tracking points, site visits, interviews, independent verification. We noticed. I shrugged. I never thought anyone would actually follow through. But yeah, I didn't want this to be fluff. I built it to be real. Curtis, he wanted flash, results on paper. He pushed for aggressive optimism. That's a polite way of saying fraud, the third investor said. Youngest of the group, but the way he spoke, you could tell he wasn't new to getting lied to. I didn't argue. They laid out printed screenshots across the table, slides from the pitch deck, the site reports, side-by-side comparisons of the claims versus what they found on the ground. 0 job placements, empty buildings. One site listed as a completed training hub is literally still a condemned warehouse, the woman said. Curtis used my structure, I told them. But someone filled in the blanks with fiction. So why didn't you speak up? The younger guy asked. Because when I realized how far it had gone, my kid was in a hospital bed and I was already fired by text. I didn't even have time to breathe, let alone launch a whistleblower campaign. They all went quiet. Then the older man said, "What if you didn't have to blow anything up?" I raised an eyebrow. What does that mean? We don't want to sue your old firm. That just delays things. But we do want results, real ones. And you're the only one who knew what was supposed to happen. The bones of the model are solid, the woman added. You'd help us rebuild, redirect the funding. No branding, no firm involved, just direct investment, grassroots partnerships. I leaned back. So you want to hire me? No, the younger guy said. We want a partner. That hit me harder than I expected. After getting tossed out like trash, now 3 heavy hitters were sitting here, offering me a seat at the table. I looked them each in the eye. All right, I'm in. By the end of that week, I had a burner laptop, a temporary LLC, and 3 separate Zoom links with groups of community leaders, people who'd been promised job training, clean water, mobile health clinics, but hadn't seen a damn thing. The first meeting was rough. Most of them had heard the name of my old firm. Some recognized my name too, not in a good way. You helped pitch the lie, one woman said flat out. Why should we trust you now? I didn't flinch. Because I'm here, and I brought the people who control the checkbook this time. No layers, no smoke. They weren't sold, but they listened. When the first round of funds hit their accounts, real, unrestricted capital, they called back. The tone changed. They started asking real questions. Not about promises, about logistics. How fast can we get the refrigeration truck for the food program? Can we shift budget toward local contractors instead of outside hires? I didn't even have to clear it with anyone. That was the deal. Transparent funding, direct control, zero middlemen. And just like that, things started moving. I set up shop at my kitchen table. Liam would sit across from me after school with a bowl of cereal, watching me run spreadsheets and grant trackers like it was some kind of action movie. One afternoon, he pointed to a bar graph on my screen. What's that? That shows how many families got groceries this week. He leaned in closer. They'll need them next week too. I looked at him. He wasn't wrong. It stuck with me. I started building in continuity funding, automatic allocations, community review boards, plans that lasted beyond headlines and ribbon cuttings. We weren't just making reports. We were making impact, and I could feel it. Like the ground under my feet had finally stopped shifting. Calls turned into site visits. Visits turned into contracts. We helped one town restart their vocational training center in a school basement. Another launched a meal co-op. People who'd been ignored for years suddenly had a say, and they didn't waste it. But not everybody was happy. 2 weeks in, I started getting pushback. One contact stopped responding. A small logistics vendor backed out last minute. Then a council member, one I'd had a great call with, sent a weirdly formal email backing out of everything. That same day, I got a call from a familiar number. I didn't pick up. Curtis hadn't made his move yet, but I could feel him stirring. The deeper I got into this project, the louder the silence got from his side. He wasn't going to sit still, but neither was I. Curtis made his move the next morning. I woke up to 6 missed calls, 3 blocked number voicemails, and a handful of texts from people I barely talked to. Then an email notification hit my screen, subject line glowing like a warning flare. Immediate action required. When I opened it, I had to sit down. It was a cease and desist letter from the firm's legal department accusing me of stealing proprietary development frameworks, sabotaging the pitch, leaking confidential data, and violating a non-compete I'd never even seen before. They even threw in a line about false claims regarding a medical emergency. Like I somehow invented my kid's asthma attack to get out of a meeting. That one hit hard, not just because it was disgusting, because it was calculated. Curtis wanted to hit me where it hurt. By noon, the rumors were everywhere. A friend from accounting texted, asking if it was true I'd sold the pitch to a competitor. Someone else asked if I'd faked Liam's hospital stay to get sympathy after messing up the project. The stories were so ridiculous it almost felt like parody, except people were buying them. I was pacing in my kitchen when my phone buzzed again. This time, it was one of the investors, Caleb, the younger guy. He didn't waste time. You seeing what's circulating? Yeah, I said. I'm not hiding under a rock. Some of our partners are spooked, he said. They don't like the idea of a legal fight. Let them be spooked, I snapped. We're not doing anything wrong. We know that, but optics? I don't give a damn about optics, Caleb. I care about results. He exhaled, frustrated but not arguing. Late that afternoon, another email came in. This one from a reporter I didn't recognize. Subject: comment request regarding Project Liam. I froze. I opened the attachment and my stomach flipped. Curtis had launched a brand new program, Project Liam, complete with a polished logo, a smiling stock photo kid, and a full press packet claiming to expand the visionary model pioneered by our internal team. I felt something cold move through me. Not sadness, not fear, just a tight, focused anger. Liam walked into the kitchen, rubbing his eyes. Dad, why are you gripping the counter like that? I loosened my hold. Just work stuff, bud. Go get your shoes. We gotta leave in 10. When he left, I called the investors for an emergency video call. All three faces popped up on screen. They looked tense. The woman, Grace, spoke first. "We want to go public. Shut this down before it gains traction." "No," I said immediately. The older guy frowned. "You don't understand how bad this looks." "Oh, I understand. But I'm not dragging the communities into a public fight. They've trusted us for 5 minutes. I'm not blowing that up because Curtis wants to play war." Grace leaned forward. "He used your kid's name." "I noticed," I said. "But that's not the most important part." I pulled up the Project Liam deck on my screen and shared it. "Look at slide 9, I said. They did. All three investors went silent at the same exact moment. Caleb finally said, "He copied your verification protocols." "Yeah," I said, "but keep reading the targets." Grace scanned the numbers. Then she swore under her breath. The deck promised job placement rates triple what was possible. Infrastructure improvements that require permits that didn't even exist yet. Timelines that defied basic math. Even the community partnership list was padded with groups that weren't real. "He's overpromising by a mile," the older investor said. "He can't deliver any of this." "That's the point," I said. "He stole the parts of my model he thought looked impressive and filled the rest with fantasy." Caleb shook his head slowly. "He's going to implode." "Exactly," I said, "and he wants us to panic first." Grace looked at me. "So what do you propose?" "I say we stay quiet, keep delivering, let him run his mouth, let him have the spotlight." I clicked to another slide, my slide, the real one. "And while he's out there trying to fake miracles, we'll be building the real thing." I ended the screen share. They exchanged glances. Then Grace nodded once. "All right, we follow your lead." That night, after Liam went to bed, I sat at the table and pulled up Curtis's press release one more time. His whole empire was tied to this shiny, impossible machine he'd slapped my son's name on. We didn't go to the press, didn't tweet, didn't post a damn thing. Instead, I got on the phone and started calling every partner we had, quiet, focused calls. One by one, I told them the plan. "Let Curtis launch his circus," I said. "Let him chase press coverage. We stick to the work." Grace backed me. Caleb was pissed but agreed. We kept the money flowing and the timelines tight. No big announcements, just clean, tracked progress. Within a week, we'd finished 2 food co-ops and a mobile dental van. One community started laying groundwork for their first job skills hub. Every dollar spent had a receipt. Every outcome was documented and stored on a live ledger. No edits, no fluff. And the communities noticed. The leaders who were skeptical at first now emailed me directly. Sent photos, updates, questions that meant they were planning ahead, not just reacting. "I heard Curtis's team offered one of our groups a photo op," one partner told me. "We said no. We've got actual work happening now." That kind of loyalty didn't come easy, and it sure as hell didn't come from PR. But Curtis didn't slow down. The more we stayed quiet, the louder he got. More press releases, buzzwords. He even did a sponsored podcast talking about leading with integrity. It would have been funny if it wasn't so insulting. Then the texts started. First it was veil crap. "Hope your little guy stays healthy this year. The world's unpredictable." Then later, "Your choices are putting your family in a tough spot. Just think long term." I didn't respond, but I saved every message. Time-stamped, forwarded copies to my lawyer. Then came the final slap. I opened my laptop one morning and saw the full public rollout of Project Liam. Big headline, professional video, stock footage of smiling kids and workers in hard hats. None of it real. And dead center was a quote Curtis gave to the press. "We named this project after a child who inspired us to do better." That was the moment my hands clenched so tight I thought I'd crush the keyboard. Liam walked in at that exact second, rubbing his eyes. "You okay, Dad?" I forced my voice steady. "Yeah, just work stuff." He climbed up on the chair next to me and looked at my screen. "Is that my name?" I clicked the tab closed. "Different Liam." I stood up, grabbed my phone, and stepped outside. Pacing the driveway, I called Grace. "He's escalating," I said, "but we don't change course." Agreed. We've got hard data now. Want me to leak any of it? No, let it build, quietly. We kept going. That week, we completed a child nutrition initiative in 3 counties. The next week, a housing referral program. Each result added weight to our side of the scale. Curtis kept pushing headlines. But behind the scenes, people started asking real questions. The ones who visited his sites were starting to realize they were standing in empty lots. And we had every answer backed by receipts. The call was set for 10 a.m. Sharp, big investor summit. Full rollout of Project Liam. Curtis would be leading the presentation. I wasn't invited, obviously, but Grace made sure I had a front row seat anyway. She forwarded me the link under a fake agenda name. Q4 Infrastructure Review, internal only. I logged in muted and off camera, sitting at my kitchen table with coffee I didn't drink. There were at least 30 names on the call. Investors, board members, regional reps. Curtis popped up mid-screen, same smug voice, same fake calm. Thank you all for joining. I'm proud to introduce the next step in our Strategic Impact Initiative, Project Liam. He clicked through his deck like a pro. Glossy slides, big claims, recycled buzzwords he barely understood. It was all fluff. Then came the silence. Any questions? He asked, too confident. First voice to cut through was blunt. Yeah, I visited North Everett last week, one of your main sites. It's a vacant lot with a chain-link fence and broken glass. Where's the workforce training center you promised? Curtis paused, smiling tight. We're in the early construction phase. Permits take time. The investor fired back. You claimed it was completed. You gave us photos. Another voice jumped in. Same problem in Fayette. No signs of anything. Locals haven't heard of you. Curtis started talking faster. That's clearly a communications breakdown. We'll get clarification from the site leads. You said 600 jobs were created already, someone else said. That was a lie. Curtis hesitated. I was quoting projected outcomes. Maybe there was confusion on the labeling. Projected outcomes don't go in the achieved results column, someone snapped. The hits kept coming. I leaned back in my chair, watching him scramble. The calm was cracking. His hands were twitching on the desk. His face was red. Then a new name lit up the screen. Dr. Elaine Mercer, Southeast Regional Authority. Curtis froze. Dr. Mercer, he said, voice higher than before. Didn't realize you'd be joining today. I wasn't planning to, she said, but then I saw the press release about Project Liam, and I recognized the story, the numbers, the name. She leaned forward, staring dead into the camera. My husband treated a young boy named Liam the night he came into the ER. I reviewed the case afterward. I recognized the name, and while his father held his hand, you fired him. That boy's father designed the original model you plagiarized. You could hear the air go out of the room. Curtis stammered. There must have been a miscommunication. No, she cut in. There was fraud. I reviewed your claims, timelines that aren't physically possible, facilities that don't exist. You used a child's name for leverage, then doctored the impact data. Curtis started to talk again, but 3 investors jumped in at once. This crosses a legal line. We trusted you with real capital. I'm pulling funding effective immediately. Curtis's face collapsed. The smirk was gone. He tried to regain control, blaming his team, blaming bad reporting. But nobody cared. One by one, investors cut their video feeds. Funding pulled, support gone. Curtis sat there blinking, alone on screen, still trying to explain himself to no one. I clicked out of the meeting without saying a word. Outside, Liam was riding his scooter up and down the driveway. He waved as I stepped out, hair sticking up, socks mismatched. I smiled back. Curtis was finished. The call came in just after 9. Liam was asleep, finally. I was halfway through cleaning up the kitchen when I saw Curtis's name flash across my screen. I let it ring once, twice, then I picked up. He didn't say hello. Just give me 5 minutes. I didn't answer. I'm not calling to fight, he added quickly. Look, things got out of hand. I can fix this for both of us. I leaned on the counter, staring out the window into the dark. I'm listening. I'll give you a promotion, full VP title, lead any division you want, double your old salary. We'll release a statement crediting you for the early stages of the model, your commitment to impact. The whole deal. I snorted. You're not offering that to fix anything. You're offering it because everyone pulled out and now you need a lifeline. Silence on the line. Then, look, I can't undo what's happened. But if you come back publicly, investors might reconsider. They trust you. Yeah, I said, because I didn't lie to them. This doesn't have to be personal, he said, trying to shift gears. We're both professionals. We both know how the game is played. You named your stolen pitch after my son. Another pause. I could hear him breathing now. Uneven. I'm willing to make it right, he said finally. You'd have power, influence, recognition. You'd be back in the room. I'm not interested, I said. You're really going to throw this away? You think the work you're doing now lasts longer than press cycles? Without our backing, you'll burn out inside a year. I'm not doing this for press, I shot back. That's your game, not mine. His tone turned sharper. So what then? What do you want? Revenge? I didn't raise my voice. I wanted the truth. That's it. What's happening to you now? That's just consequences. Dead silence. Then the voice dropped low. You just made a powerful enemy. I'm not afraid of you anymore. He hung up. I set the phone down on the counter and stood there for a second, letting the silence settle. No rush of adrenaline, no panic. Just a quiet, steady calm. The kind that comes when you finally stop giving a damn what a bully thinks. In the living room, Liam stirred on the couch, still half asleep under a blanket. I walked over, turned off the TV, and adjusted the pillow behind his head. Whatever came next, we'd deal with it. On our terms. No spin, no shortcuts, just truth. We submitted the nonprofit paperwork the next morning. Community ledger. No boardroom fluff, no backdoor deals, just straight tracking of what went in, what came out, and who it helped. Every dollar public, every outcome measured. No games. I brought on Grace and Caleb as founding partners, not for the money, they already had that, but because they believed in doing it clean. By the end of the first week, I had 12 emails from old coworkers, some pretending to check in, some owning it straight. You were right. This place is falling apart. If there's room on your team, I didn't take all of them, but a few, yeah. The ones who knew the work, the ones who stayed quiet before, but didn't want to stay quiet now. We set up in an old brick firehouse down in Whittier County, one of the towns Curtis listed as transformed in his fake reports. The windows were cracked, the floor sloped, and the wiring made the lights flicker when someone used the microwave. But it was ours. And it didn't take long for the work to speak louder than any press release. 6 months in, the difference was impossible to ignore. A job training center opened in the converted garage bay. Downstairs, we ran a walk-in housing referral office with a couch, a coffee pot, and volunteers who actually listened. Every program tracked in real time, not just numbers, stories, real people, real needs. No fake metrics, no inflated promises. Just forward motion. Then, one rainy Thursday, the door creaked open, and I looked up from my laptop to see Curtis standing there. No suit, no tie, no spin in his voice. He stepped in slow, holding his soaked jacket like he didn't know what to do with it. I didn't move, just waited. He looked around the office, took in the laminated flyers, the noise from the kitchen, the busy. "This is what you built," he said. I didn't answer. "I'm leaving town," he added. "Settled everything. Avoided prosecution, barely. Got fined, banned from contracting for 5 years. Still, I said nothing. I came to say, I'm sorry." The words didn't come out dramatic. They came out tired, small. I nodded once. "Okay." He looked surprised. "That's it?" "I'm not forgiving you. I'm not forgetting either," I said. "But I'm done carrying it. That weight's yours now." He stood there a second longer, then turned and walked out into the rain. I didn't watch him go. I had payroll to finish. Liam and I walked side by side through the new community garden, his sneakers crunching over the gravel paths. The place buzzed, Kids carrying buckets of cherry tomatoes, parents laughing over open recipe binders, a grill going somewhere near the shed. He reached for my hand without saying anything, then tugged me toward the mural painted on the back wall of the tool station. A giant tree stretched from the concrete up to the roofline, branches full of color and names. "Right there," he said, pointing to the roots. "That's me, right?" I crouched beside him, tracing the curve of his name, subtle but there, twined into the root system like it had always been part of the foundation. "That's you," I said, "and all the good that came after." He looked around again, thoughtful. "Did the bad man help build this?" I paused. "No, but he pushed us towards something better." He nodded like that made sense. We kept walking, passing a mom showing her daughter how to snap the ends off green beans, volunteers loading boxes into the back of a pickup, kids with muddy shoes chasing each other between garden rows. This wasn't a brochure. It wasn't a pitch deck or a pilot program. It was real, alive, growing. And I saw it all through Liam's eyes, the quiet pride, the way he took it in like it belonged to him. Because it did. This was his story too. The world didn't fall apart when I lost my job. It fell into place. I used to think legacy came from titles, company names, deals closed in boardrooms. But standing in that garden next to my son, I knew better. This was legacy, not the mural, not the garden, the truth, the work, the way people showed up again and again because it mattered. Liam squeezed my hand. "Think they'll need more next week?" "They always will," I said,